Welcome to Henry & Sons for another Vemag Tech Tip of the Day. My name is Mark. Today we're going to be working on a Vemag HP-25. The Vemag HP-25 and the 30 are basically the same machine. And today we're going to be servicing the double screw drive, which is inside this housing, and the intermediate transmission housing as well. We're going to pull those all out, service them up, show you how to disassemble and reassemble all of these parts. Okay, first thing we're going to do here is we're going to loosen up these connections here on the Lovejoy coupling. It's a 10mm Allen wrench. Back those out like that. Next, we're going to get a small chisel in here just to spread these open a little bit. All right, next we're going to spin this around and we're going to open this up here a little bit. I like to take either a screwdriver or a small chisel. Separate these so you can kind of get them loose. Like that. Next, we have that all loosened up on the Lovejoy. Now we're going to pull the two socket head cap screws out that hold the double screw drive in place. This is 8mm Allen wrench. You want to take both of these bolts out. Okay, next, you're going to want to drain the oil in the transmission. This machine's already been done. You just remove the cap on this oil bottle, put this down in your oil collection device, pan or a bag. Let it sit here, let all the oil drain out. Then you can just put this back up here and put the cap on, just to hold it up out of the way. So next, you're going to want to take off the protection shroud here. There's a big cover that goes over this belt assembly. You're going to want to remove that. We've already done that. It just bolts on here with a couple of small bolts. Remove that so you have access to the drive belt and pulleys. Now you want to loosen up this tensioner. This is a 19mm hex. You want to loosen this up like that. Actually, we could just go ahead and take this all the way off. We'll get that out of our way. Next, you want to remove all of these small countersunk screws to remove this ring so we can get the belt off. We have all the bolts out. You want to remove this ring. This just keeps the belt on the pulley. And now your belt comes off. Next, we're going to remove this bolt and washer here. This is a 13mm. That's going to expose the shaft for us. Okay, we have our standard bearing puller here connected with some 12mm bolts into the threaded holes into the pulley. I like to put a small piece of bar stock in here so you don't damage the shaft. So this is all set. We do like to try to heat these up because these pulleys sometimes go on real snug. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some heat right now just with a MAP gas torch. So we're going to heat this up and pull this pulley off. All right, we applied a good amount of heat on this pulley and we are all set to pull it off here. Next, we're going to pull the 8mm bolts out of here that hold the intermediate transmission housing in place. 13mm socket. One thing you want to make sure you do is remove the vent bolts before you drain the oil, is to take these vent bolts and go ahead and pull them out. That'll allow the oil to drain quickly. And then when you refill the oil, it allows the air to escape. I'll point them out here in just a moment. These are the oil vent bolts. This is one of them, and the other one is here. This is an older style machine, so they're on the back side. If you have a newer style machine, they're gonna be on the other side. Next, we're just gonna get a pry bar in here, and we're just gonna push this back, and that whole intermediate transmission is starting to slide out the back. Now we can go pry on the back flange there. All right, now that we've got the intermediate transmission housing pushed past the O-rings, we should be able to just grab this flange and just pull the whole assembly out. Just like that. Next, we're gonna remove the centering pin right down here just to get it out of our way. All right, we're gonna go ahead and pull the double screw drive. We make these little shims that slide right in here. It makes it nice to pull the gearbox out onto. Now you wanna make sure the double screw drive shafts are vertical because there's nothing connected to this gearbox now, so you can just reach in there and turn those by hand. So now we're gonna put our double screw drive puller in here. Rotate it. And we're gonna just pull this out. There's the gearbox, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this guy out. There's your double screw drive. Now we wanna pull this oil seal out. This is a very critical part of the assembly because this oil holds the oil inside the gearbox. So you wanna always replace this seal when you're doing this service. Just pull that out like that. Welcome back. We are ready to assemble this HP-25E. We've serviced the double screw drive and the intermediate transmission housing. We're gonna go through the reassembly process now. All right, first things first, we're gonna assemble the oil seal in the transmission here. So we're gonna go ahead and lubricate this up with some good waterproof grease. Every seal needs grease. So we're gonna grease that up. And then the spring always goes to the wet side. So we're gonna put the spring facing outward. This is a nice little tool we have to put this seal in. So this seal is gonna go basically straight in there just like that. Okay, we're just gonna seat the seal all the way. Pull it out. There's our oil seal, all lubricated, ready to go. Okay, the double screw drive is in the bore here. We've greased the O-rings on the double screw drive, and we also greased the bore where the double screw drive slides into. So now we're gonna just go ahead and push it in. The indicating pin goes at 6 o'clock. So we're just gonna slide this in. The gearbox is started. Now we're gonna go ahead and push it in the rest of the way. All right, we have an assembly tool here. It's basically just a plastic plug that goes in, and that's gonna push against the front faces of both double screw drive shafts, I should say. And you can use just a housing and push on the double screw drive face of the housing, but it's preferred that you push on the front of the shafts. All right, now I've got a double screw housing in here. This is one of our ergo housings, half the weight of a conventional double screw housing. And then we're just gonna go ahead and lightly tap this gearbox into place. That's it. Next, we are going to install these two 10mm socket head cap screws to hold the gearbox in place. Go ahead and tighten those up. Okay, this is a new Lovejoy coupling half. So you want to loosen up this socket head cap screw, and you want to get a screwdriver in here to gently pry this open. This has to slide on this shaft smoothly. You never ever want to hit this shaft with any kind of hammer or dead blow. It will mess up the preload springs for the thrust bearings. So it's a very important step. A lot of guys will just hammer on that and their gearbox is damaged. I've already sized this outside of the machine, so I got a little bit of light coat of grease on that. And it should slide on there nice and easy, just like that. All right, we're ready to put the intermediate transmission in. You want to make sure you grease these O-rings. We use a good waterproof grease, as I mentioned, and also grease the bores where the O-rings slide. And then pay attention to the Lovejoy coupling. So we have the top driver at the 12 o'clock position. So once we get this installed, we'll orient that properly so we don't put any pressure on that shaft. So before you install this rear intermediate transmission housing, this is a very important step. There's two ports that have to align. There's one here at the 6 o'clock position, and then you have another port over here about the 2 o'clock position. So it's very important that you align those with the male gearbox that slides into this. Okay, now we have the intermediate housing going in. So we have a port here at 6 o'clock, and then we also have one here at 2 o'clock. So that bolt hole on the flange at the 12 o'clock position, it's marked there with a Sharpie. That bolt goes at the 12 o'clock position. Okay, now we just want to make sure that our Lovejoy coupling is lined up and will mesh, so we don't put any pressure on that double screw drive shaft. We're going to go ahead and push that gearbox all the way in now. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and push this all the way in. It should push in by hand all the way till it seats. Now we'll get these bolts in. Now we're just going to go ahead and tighten all these bolts up. Okay, now we need to get our spacing on our Lovejoy correct. Manufacturer calls for 3 millimeters on each side for expansion and contraction. So I take a 3 millimeter Allen wrench. They show using feeler gauges, you don't have to get that technical with it. I think it's actually between 3 millimeters and 4 millimeters. So I just take a 3 millimeter Allen wrench here, make sure it goes in on both sides, which it does. And now our spacing is correct right there. So now we're gonna tighten these socket head cap screws to 120 Newton meters. I think that converts to about 88 foot-pounds. There it is. Okay, those are both torqued now and spaced proper. Before we assemble, I like to use some anti-seize on the shaft, heat the pulley up, and okay, we can tighten it the rest of the way with the bolt. Okay, that's all the way on there. Next, we're going to reinstall the belt. Just like that. Reinstall the belt retaining ring. We're going to mount the tensioner here. Now we're going to just go ahead and preload this tension. So you want to set the belt tension to pretty tight level. I like to set it to where it has some spring in it. That's a good tension right there. And we can go ahead and put the guard on now. Everything's tight. Actually, I do want to check the torque on that bolt. That's important as well. I usually torque this setting bolt here to about 150 foot-pounds. And finally, we're just putting the belt guard back in place. There's 4 bolts to secure this and tighten these up. And that's it. One other thing that you need to check when you're all done, we went ahead and put this rear pulley on, and when we tightened up the bolt, pulled the shaft into the bore of the pulley, our spacing changed just a little bit here. So always come back once everything's in place and make sure you have the proper clearance between the faces of your Lovejoy coupling here. And if you don't, loosen these up and be very careful moving that around. Again, you don't want to put any pressure on that double screw drive shaft. So get that spacing proper and retorque it. So now one of the most important steps is making sure you put oil in this thing. Use the recommended fully synthetic gear oil. And you want to fill this bottle up completely. Takes about a liter of oil total. Surprising, it doesn't hold that much. So fill this thing all the way up. About right there. And then you want to take this bottle and put it back up into its place. Right there, put the lid back on. And you want to give this a good half an hour to flow down the hose and equalize. This is a level gauge, really. This sticker should be in the middle of the pulley up here on the top. So let that normalize, it'll equal out. Refill it and make sure your oil level is at the top line once you're complete. That's a wrap on this video for this HP-25E. Double screw drive, intermediate transmission housing, all put back together, ready for production. Thanks for tuning in to another Vemag Tech Tip of the Day here at Henry & Sons. Remember, for all your replacement Vemag parts, make sure you visit our website, dhenryandsons.com. Thanks for watching.